Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Former Houston safety AJ Haulcy, to me, like by far the best available player in the spring transfer portal window. This recruitment really starting to heat up. I think for the last couple of days, we kind of felt like this one was trending towards the Miami Hurricanes, right? Miami got him on a visit. I think from what you're hearing, Miami has a little bit more money to offer for AJ Haulcy as well, but LSU is not going away. And I think you're sitting here Thursday afternoon, and I want to say this first. I give a lot of respect to both Mario Cristobal and Brian Kelly here because it sounds like AJ Haulcy and his agents are kind of trying to stimulate a little bit of a bidding war for the services of AJ Haulcy. I think Brian Kelly, Mario Cristobal kind of staying steadfast in their process and say, hey, we're going to be aggressive for AJ Haulcy. He's a really good football player that makes both of our football teams better in 2025. But I think both Brian Kelly and Mario Cristobal, who we've seen go out and be very aggressive for the players they want, are probably not willing to get into a bidding war for a guy that's going to be on their program for just 6 months and then head into the NFL draft. And again, not a shot at AJ Haulcy. It's a little bit more of like, hey, I kind of appreciate both of these programs sticking to their roster building process. Now, I want to get into one, AJ Haulcy. Many of y'all know how I feel about what he brings to the table. Really, really good football player. First team all conference at Houston last year. But I want to take a look at it from an angle of both from Miami standpoint and LSU standpoint. Like two teams that clearly want AJ Haulcy, but for a little bit of different reasons. Before we get into it, as always, the Miami fans, the LSU fans, y'all let it fly in the comment section. This one, kind of turning out to be one of the more fascinating recruitments to follow in the spring portal window. Let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one. Now, let's talk about the football player first, right? AJ Haulcy, 259 career tackles, 7 interceptions, 15 pass breakups, a career missed tackle percentage of less than 12%. This is a box checking safety. You look at what you want from a high caliber safety at the power 4 level. You want them to be able to create turnovers. You want them to be able to hold up in man coverage. You want them to be versatile, guys that can play single high, guys that can come into the box and stop the run. AJ Haulcy, to me, he checks all those boxes. And I think the really important part to mention here is he's done it for a long time. 3-year starter, has played over 2,000 snaps at the collegiate ranks. He's a very good football player that has NFL upside, that has also shown you throughout his career that he can play at an extremely high level and is really one of the more reliable names that's available in the portal. You talk about the portal, there's a lot of names that, they might have a little bit of a ceiling and you got to project them out, aren't necessarily known commodities. And AJ Haulcy, this kid's a known commodity in terms of what he can bring to a defense. Now, from the Miami Hurricanes perspective, there's a couple of things that I think are working for Miami. Like, number one, the connection with Zach Etheridge, who obviously has worked with AJ Haulcy during his time at Houston. No doubt that plays a role here. I think secondly, and I think Miami fans would agree with this, Miami's a little bit more desperate for AJ Haulcy than LSU. When you look at LSU's safety room, you might say, and say, hey, you went out and got to Marcus Cooley in the winter. You think you like what you have with Deshaun Spears going into year 2. Javian Toviano making the transition from cornerback to safety. Jordan Gilbert can play because he's played a lot of SEC football. Like for LSU, the addition for AJ Haulcy is probably a little bit more of, hey, can we put the cherry on top of what we think can be a very good defense in the 2025 season? I would also stress that in the Blake Baker defense, having safeties that can do a lot of different things and bring a lot of different versatility, it's really big considering what Coach Baker wants to do on the defensive side of the football. He's going to ask his safeties to come on blitz packages. He's going to ask them to come in the box and support the run, play that single high safety, operate in man coverage. Having elite safeties in a Blake Baker defense is big. And I think AJ Haulcy certainly gives you that elite safety going into 2025. But at the same time, you feel pretty good about what your safety room is going into 2025 versus the Miami Hurricanes. It's a little bit more of, I think Miami fans would agree with this. I don't know if I'd say desperation, but this is an important spot for Miami to fill going into 2025. Like you have a dude in Zachariah Poyser That other safety spot, a little bit of a question mark, right? You know, we like what we heard from Markeith Williams coming out of spring, but that's been a guy that when he's played, he hasn't necessarily been the most reliable. Dylan Day going into year 2, you kind of like the track that he's on, but is he going to be ready to play in 2025 as a full-time starter? Bryce Fitzgerald coming in the summer, Isaiah Taylor more of a depth piece. I think from a Miami Hurricanes perspective, hey, this is especially with Zaquan Patterson leaving the program, we are not only thin at this position, but we're also looking for a bona fide starter. And to me, AJ Haulcy's probably that guy for the Miami Hurricanes. He's the crown jewel for the Miami Hurricanes in this spring portal window. He's the guy that if, hey, Miami goes out and lands, you feel really good about their spring portal haul. If they miss on AJ Haulcy, probably not so much. Now, what Miami's doing, and this is kind of an interesting story to kind of monitor over the next immediate 24 hours, what happens with Jacobe Thomas? Miami brought him on a visit. I believe he got in Wednesday, was visiting Thursday. Some crystal balls are coming in for Jacobe Thomas to commit to Miami. If Jacobe Thomas commits to Miami, I don't think that ends Miami's run at AJ Haulcy. I think Miami was always probably planning to bring 2 safeties in the spring portal window. They've gone after a few other names, but it sounds like AJ Haulcy and Jacobe Thomas are the 2 names at the top of the board. If you're a Miami Hurricane fan, you're happy with the addition of Jacobe Thomas because, one, he's a veteran guy that's played in the SEC, has played over 1,400 snaps, a guy that immediately raises the floor of what your safety room is going to be, and quite frankly, probably comes in and is a day one starter for Miami, opposite Zachariah Poyser. But I don't think he's the caliber of player that AJ Haulcy is, and I think many Miami fans understand that. I think if you land Jacobe Thomas, that's probably your safety 3, but at the end of the day, Miami's still going to go hard in a big way after AJ Haulcy. We'll see what happens with Jacobe Thomas. Again, I don't think that it will make a huge difference in the AJ Haulcy recruitment. I will say this from a Miami Hurricanes fan's perspective, Mario Cristobal has done everything he can for this one. And has made a very aggressive NIL pitch, brought him onto campus, rolled out the red carpet for this kid. I mean, police escort, meeting with Rick Ross. I mean, you pulled out all the stops in terms of what this Miami Hurricanes program can offer. If he wants to go play in the SEC, which sounds like, I think the money's the biggest thing here, but he also says he wants to play in the SEC, then that is what it is. But if you're Mario Cristobal, you at least can lay your head down at night saying, hey, we did everything we could to try to pitch AJ Haulcy, and we'll see if it's going to be enough. If I were to, and y'all know I ain't no insider, if I were to make a prediction, I still think Miami probably gets it done just because I think Miami needs AJ Haulcy a little bit more than LSU does. Like for LSU, it's that cherry on top of the defense. For Miami, it's like that missing piece for the defense going into the 2025 year. A much needed addition of a difference maker and some experience to a safety room that is thin and inexperienced. We'll see how it turns out. Going to be a really fun one to kind of monitor down the stretch. I'm interested to see if LSU can get him on campus. We'll see how it plays out. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. To the Miami and LSU fans, would love to hear how you guys are feeling about this one in the comment section. And we'll talk to y'all later.